Hi there. There's a lot of controversy around regulation and cryptocurrency. Some want it, others don't. In this abridged video, Jacob and Mark share their thoughts. I've included a link below to their YouTube page. Also, you will find a link to a video that will show you multiple free ways to grow your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency portfolio. I'm sure you'll find it all very valuable.
Welcome to I Love Crypto, guys. Today we've got a really cool live stream for you. We're going to talk about the crypto regulation outlook, long-term plays, if and when regulation comes. It might not be today. It might not be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road, but regulation is coming. They've told us that. The guidance is not very clear. Until that guidance gets very clear, we're not going to see a ton of institutional money coming in. Today, there was supposed to be an SEC announcement on Ethereum. Turns out it was FUD. They didn't actually have a meeting. It was more of a closed door regulatory event where a lot of people got together. So today we're going to talk about crypto regulation. It's one of Mark and I's favorite topics. We're going to talk about some of our favorite coins to navigate these waters. So this is a guide that we actually wrote for our VIPs, and we're going to share it with you guys. And so obviously, we've got the disclaimer. We're not financial advisors. Do your own research. Make sure that you advise with your financial advisor, all that stuff. So let's talk about regulation. Mark, this is one of your favorite topics. I know you just did a huge video on Ethereum. Tell me a little bit about kind of what you're feeling and what you're thinking about just regulation in general.
Yeah, sure. Well, I hate to say it's one of my favorite topics because I would say it's not. However, it is such an important topic and it's the cause of so much conversation that it's important that we discuss it. I would, it's been a massive topic for about a year now because last year we kind of saw the wild, wild west with ICOs launching fast and furious and, basically with no regulation, which means, no either government oversight or even inside the industry oversight to kind of set up a framework of regulation. And so things got a little bit carried away. Of course, there's lots of bad actors that come out and that puts a negative taint over the whole industry. And so everybody starts talking about regulation. The government came in, said they're going to start regulating it. Of course, the original ideology of Bitcoin was to get away from that. So a lot of the people are like hesitant and don't really want regulation. I would say, and I know this sounds harsh, but let me finish, that I believe the industry does need regulation. There's too many bad actors. There needs to be some standards set up and there needs to be regulation. I will finish with saying that I don't necessarily think the government is the best person to do that. I would much prefer to see some, inside organizations set up some framework for that. However, this is where we're at. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. I actually started my YouTube channel. If you guys aren't aware, I actually started my YouTube channel because I saw so many people getting scammed and pulled into these multi-level marketing companies. And I was trying to advise everybody against that. But like the US Tech, the BitConnect, and I've seen a lot more, besides those ones. So I actually started my YouTube channel just based on pure education. And I wanted to just make sure people were getting proper information. So I think regulation is necessary as well. However, I have the same sort of fundamental ideology as Mark in that I am a huge fan of decentralization, of limited government, of control of your own monetary assets. All the things that like drew me to Bitcoin are now kind of getting thrown out the window a little bit with regulation. But it's only the US right now that's really going heavy on this stuff. I mean, China's banned it, South Korea banned ICOs, but as far as like calling Ethereum a security and regulating it like a security market, really the only country that's doing that is really the US.
It is mainly just the U.S. that we hear about. However, every country, most of the major countries all have their own version of the SEC. So although we are mainly hearing about it here, it is happening all over the world. The other reason why we're mainly hearing about it in the U.S., and this is why it matters, is because the U.S. is the financial center of the world. And so anybody who wants to be in the financial markets comes to the United States. Our stock markets, the United States stock markets are the biggest. And so it does matter. And what happens here, I believe, will set a precedence and we'll see the other, at least developed nations kind of following the same pattern.
Yeah, so agreed 100%. I mean, like I said, China's kind of like just gone on full on ban. There's a lot of other regulations in a lot of countries. India is starting to tax. They kind of banned some exchanges. The biggest thing that we're seeing though is that the SEC and the CFTC, their number one priority is to make sure that individual investors are safe. It's not like they're trying to come after us and arrest us if we invest in an ICO. They're trying to get rid of the bad actors in the ICOs because there were billions of dollars in scams last year, and even this year there was the CTR token. These guys were arrested at the airport. Exit, like exit scam, pulled their bank account. So they're trying to look out for us. But when it comes to regulation, one of the big things are exchanges and whether or not they're actually trading securities and whether or not they're registered and how long they've been registered. Poloniex, they actually kind of got a get out of jail free card when Circle bought them. The SEC gave them basically a complete, hey, here you go. You're not going to be charged with any previous crimes because Circle, which is a Goldman Sachs backed company, they promised to work with the SEC and regulators on working that out. Even Coinbase applied for their broker dealer license. Just because they're adapting and evolving, if they get called securities, they want to be able to sell them and they don't want their business interrupted. So they're making those changes necessary. And Binance, they were given warning letters by Japan. They were told to, move out of China, all these different issues. And so Binance, they actually moved to Malta. And there's so many other exchanges besides that. But I mean, what do you think about all these exchange subpoenas? I mean, especially foreign exchanges being subpoenaed by the U.S. I mean,
well, before I get into that, I actually kind of just want to roll it back a minute because you talked about Poloniex, and getting to roll back, and you talked about Coinbase, and I think what's happening with that is actually something a little bit different. And so what I see happening, and not just me, most of the insiders see this happening, is that we are going to have this big push towards security. So regulation is coming. There's just no stopping it. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. And what that's going to do is create a framework to allow these digital assets to become securities. The thing is that the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, not only regulates securities, but also exchanges. And so once tokens become securities, they have to be on a registered exchange. And none of the exchanges are registered to exchange securities. That's the key piece. And so what Poloniex is trying to do, what Coinbase is trying to do, is they want to be a registered security exchange. And that's a big difference because we don't have any security tokens out there. I think there might be one or two security tokens out there today, but none of the exchanges are allowed to exchange security tokens. But as we see this massive shift to security tokens, then we need to have exchanges that are security platforms. And that's what Poloniex is trying to do.
Yeah, so we're just going to see a very big shift and an evolution. The other thing that the government is very worried about, based on a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing, is the term security. Ethereum, Ripple, the major cryptocurrencies. Now, they've gone on record and said that Ethereum wasn't a security, but now they're kind of backtracking a little bit and saying they might investigate it as a security. And Mark did a very fantastic job kind of going through a lot of that information. But the Attorney General of New York, he sent a letter to 13 virtual currency trading platforms, basically going after them, saying that, they were all going, doing securities. And the fines and the penalties for that, they add up very, very quickly. It's like $70,000 to $160,000 per person that bought a security. They can add up to millions and millions and millions of dollars that they might have to pay the U.S. government for trading cryptocurrencies if they get called a security. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the fines are really big, and it really comes down to it's different discussion. So Ethereum being a decentralized blockchain, who are they going to go after? It's decentralized. Now, you talk about a centralized exchange like Binance or Poloniex. Obviously, they have owners, and there is somebody to go after. So it becomes very complicated. But you did talk about it was in New York. They sent out subpoenas to a bunch of exchanges requesting all kinds of information. And what I really liked about that was Kraken sent back a response, first of all, saying, look, we moved out of the state of New York because we didn't want to deal with this. us, and so we're not going to. But they went on to basically tit for tat every single point and really slam them, the state of New York, saying, like, first of all, what I really liked is they said, look, we're not going to do your job for you. You're asking us to do all this research for you. That's not our job. We don't work for you. If you came to us nicely, maybe we'd be willing to help you, but we're certainly not going to reply to that, and kind of put them in their place. But it seemed like it was kind of a witch hunt. That's the way I took it. And I do like companies to be above the board, and I like them to reply. And that's what the state of New York said. Hey, if they're reputable, they would have no problem giving it to us. But that wasn't really the case. And Kraken said, look, you're asking us to do all this work, and so we just don't think it's fair, and we're not going to, right? That's what I saw.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. I mean, it's one state, and a lot of the exchanges, they stopped trading in New York anyway because legislation and rules and regulations had kind of become more and more strict. Now, one big thing that's going on is tax dodging. It was estimated billions of dollars were lost in taxes, or people didn't file their cryptocurrency earnings from 2017. I think this is a big reason why the U.S. will actually come after a lot of U.S. investors because of the staggering amount of cryptocurrency bills or cryptocurrency tax bills. Now, one thing that a lot of people think that Bitcoin is anonymous, but there's a company out there called Chain Analysis that can basically, if you are KYC on any exchange, and KYC stands for Know Your Customer, they can track your private wallet address, and they can figure out exactly every exchange that you went to, and if all these exchanges are getting purchased or are getting regulated and licensed, a lot of your data, a lot of those wallets are going to be exposed, and they're going to figure out where what you need for taxes. And so I think that's another big reason why regulation is coming down so hard. It's because they're missing out on billions of dollars in taxes, and they don't like that because, I mean, one thing the government wants is they want their money.
For sure, they want that. But there was another big thing that just came out. I saw there was a big lawsuit filed a couple days ago against Ripple. And a bunch of people are coming together and they're suing Ripple because they lost money. But really I believe it's because they lost money, but really they're saying, oh, it was, illegal to operate. I think it was in the state of California. And so the problem is that the SEC, the government bodies, they're saying we have to protect the people. Now, most of the people are like, look, I can buy as many lottery tickets as I want. I can go gamble away all my money, but I can't get into these like pre-IPOs of these special investments. But the problem is it's a problem just across, especially the United States, but most of the developed world, is like everybody wants the freedom to choose, but not the responsibility that comes with it. And so I want to be able to get into that pre-ICO, but then if I lose my money, then I'm going to sue and hope the government to get it back from me. So we're seeing that. Obviously, yes, they want their tax dollars as well. So I think there's multiple angles that are giving them the motivation to go after it.
Yeah, I mean, it's protection. The government in and of itself, they kind of wait to put out fires until the fire is big enough where they can't ignore it. Cryptocurrency's been around for a long time, 2008, it's been around for a decade. But now it's so big that they can't really ignore it. And so now they're trying to figure out how to put the fires out. And that's a tough thing to do with the decentralized cryptocurrencies. I mean,
well, especially because they're using outdated tools.
Right.
So they're using the Howey test. They're using a securities law from 1933.
Yeah, old.
But 1933. I mean, this is before anything. Way before the internet, obviously. And they're using a 1933 law or test to test cryptocurrency, but it doesn't fit into that test. So you talk about, all these fires trying to put out fires. They don't have the right equipment to do that. And so that's causing a problem, right? So they don't know what to do with it. And that's why one reason why it's really taking a long time. I think the market wants clarity so it can move forward, but they just don't know what to do.
I agree 100%.
So again, I hope you found that information valuable. For more videos from Jacob and Mark, visit the link below, and also click on the link below to receive multiple free ways to grow your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.